Hey everybody, out here at the garden today, and you can see our lovely sunflowers have finally decided to grace us with their presence, and they are looking absolutely beautiful. And then the zinnias and balsam and things are down there in the middle, like that butterfly decided to come right up the tunnel there. They've been having a great time. It's absolutely beautiful. It's much prettier in person. It's hard to really catch it on camera. But looking absolutely gorgeous. Cucumbers, you'll see they're starting to get yellow. They pretty much have done their last that they can do. That, and if you'll notice, most of my black-eyed peas have fallen over, so I can't get to the cucumbers anymore without damaging the peas. But if you look at the peas, and I think what happened to them, so you'll see where they've fallen over there, they aren't broken, they're just fallen over. And I think what's happened is a combination of things. So we had a really heavy rain a couple days ago, about an inch out here. And between that and these massive pods that are on these bushes, I think between the rain, the weight of the rain and the force of the rain and the weight of those bean pods, I think that made everything just fall over. If you'll remember, we never got a chance to bring the tractor through and throw dirt to these. So they really were, their stalks were sticking up further than they should have been. Had we been able to throw dirt to them, they may not have fallen over like they have. But they're so loaded that they may have fallen over anyways. You'll see loads and loads and loads of peas. But very few are to the point where you really would think about picking them. So my guess is probably about 3 more weeks until we really will be ready to pick these. You may have a few here and there that you can pick sooner, but it's really going to be probably about 3 weeks before we have the actual purple whole peas, where this will actually turn purple, and then you'll know it's time to harvest. And you'll see all these little ants, black-eyed peas, along with things like peonies, and some other things. They pretty much rely on ants as their pollinators. So a lot of times you'll see your plants just full of ants. I don't know if you can see that one. He's hanging out. So when you go to pick these, just know that you may be bitten by ants and just be ready for it. One of the things we tend to do when we pick these, number one, you always wear long sleeves and long pants, just because that's the safest way to pick pretty much anything. And then make sure whatever bucket that you put them in, give it a good shake, and maybe take them out of that bucket, put them in another bucket before you take them in your house, so you don't fill your house up with ants, because it has happened, and it can very well happen again. So just know that ants may be there and be prepared for them. Our eggplants, I've picked quite a few off today, and I should have left them so you could see them. But they're kind of making more. They've gotten, might be at the end of their life. They're starting to look a little puny. Eggplants are starting to be a little funny shaped, kind of curling up. This Volunteer Juliet tomato is going absolutely crazy. You'll see all those tomatoes, and it's going all these different directions. It's just happy as can be. So I'm trying my best not to mess with it and let it just keep doing its thing, even though I really want to get the tractor or the tiller in here and take out this row and really several of these rows and turn them over. But I'm going to let it keep going a while longer until those squash down there are really done. There's still kind of some squash coming in. Not a whole lot. Pretty much on their last leg. If you'll see if I can see how those eggplants are like curling up on the plant. I'm not really sure what's going on there. Not really sure. I'll have to look into that and see what that is, because it shouldn't be a water issue, because we've had a lot of water. Could be a too much water maybe. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. But you'll see squash bugs are starting to win the battle with the squash. We do still have a few good looking ones. Zucchinis are all done. See, grass is definitely taken over. This next row here is peppers and our sweet potato vines. And you'll see the peppers are loaded, and that's after I picked them really well. This one, all those jalapenos. But the sweet potato vines are finally starting to take off, and they are taking over the weeds, which is nice. They're going all over the place. And hopefully they'll be blooming soon. And hopefully they're making some potatoes under there. Now, these crazy green beans, you know that I've picked them 6 times now. Probably could have picked them a 7th before now. I haven't. But if you'll look real close, see all those blooms? So these crazy things are blooming again. And they're making more green beans. So, I'm going to let them keep doing their thing. And probably pick these guys again during the next week. I'll definitely get these guys picked again and see if there's a point in holding on to them or not. See how healthy they are. They look like they're doing much better than they were. I've never had green bean plants hang on like this before. And I feel real bad getting rid of them when they're blooming and really looking pretty good. So I'm going to let them hang out, even though I'd love to have this row for something else. We're going to let them keep doing their thing. Butter beans plants are finally starting to take off and look pretty decent. They are pretty sparse, so there's not a whole bunch of them there. But we'll get what we can off of them. And I'm going to plant some more to go with them. Tomatoes, if you look here, I'll go here on the end so you can see. Remember, these ones on the right were Mountain Fresh, and these ones on the left are the Celebrity tomatoes. So you see the difference there. See how the ones on the right have pretty much given up, and these ones on the left here are putting on new tomatoes. So that's the difference between the right ones, which are the determinants, the left side being the semi-indeterminates, or semi-determinate, I believe is what they're called. But these Celebrities are going to put on some more tomatoes. You see they're blooming again. And they're putting off all these new shoots, while the Mountain Fresh have pretty much given up. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come along to these Celebrity plants, and anywhere that has some decent tops on them, I'm going to cut those tops off about, if I can get them a foot long, that's what I'd like. Try and cut some foot long cuttings, like see this one here. Look for the ones that don't have any disease on them, don't have any issues, because you don't want to spread that to your next tomato bed. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come through and cut them off at about 12 to 18 inches long and stick them in a bucket of water and keep them in my house somewhere where they'll stay nice and cool. And in about a week, I should start having some roots on them and start some new tomato plants. And once those are really starting to take off and take hold, and I know I'm starting to get some new ones, I'll come through and clean all this out. We'll take down all these stakes, all this twine, get rid of all this stuff, and make a new spot for that new batch of tomatoes, because you don't want to plant them back here in the same spot. The stink bugs are here. They already know where the tomatoes are. There's also some blight and some disease going on, so we don't want to plant our nice fresh tomatoes back in something like that. So that's a trick to have tomatoes a little bit longer in the season. Now I'll leave these here while my other ones are getting established, because like you'll see, there's some fresh green tomatoes on there, so I'll let them go until I have my new batch. But then all of this will just be sacrificed. Like I said, the Mountain Fresh on the right are pretty much done anyways. So I may go ahead and clean them up ahead of time and go ahead and put something else there. But we'll see how it goes. Sometimes I have good luck with cutting tomato slips and growing them, and sometimes you just don't. It's kind of a gamble, but they're free tomato plants. And if I leave them where they are and leave them like they are, the disease and the stink bugs are going to take care of them, and I'm just going to be fighting pests and not really get much in the way of tomatoes. The corn, pretty much done. It's just kind of straggly and hanging out. I'd like to get the tractor in here and take the disc through all this and chop it up. It's just not feasible at the moment, so this is what it's looking like. I need to pull all the irrigation out of those rows before we can run the tractor through. And I was hoping to make this my pumpkin patch, but I don't know if that's going to work or not. I don't know that I'm going to be able to get the disc in there soon enough, because you need about 90 to 100 days, really more like 114 days this time of year to get pumpkins. So we'll be cutting it close. But that's the plan for right now, is to be able to run the disc through this. Hopefully I can do that next week and get that squared away and get those pumpkins and seeds in the ground, but we will see. You'll see amongst that, I had quite a few volunteer zinnias come up, because that's where zinnias were planted last year. And there also were a couple volunteer tomatoes in there, but I think they've been kind of eaten by the weeds. See these beautiful black butterflies are all over the garden. Today I think I have probably about a dozen of them. And they've just really been enjoying these zinnias. The new batch of green beans, these are the Blue Lake bush green beans. They are blooming. See down in there. And they probably have some baby beans on them. If we look here close enough, let's see. Yep. Well, nope. Let's see. They should have some babies on them. Yep, there's one. There's a couple. It's little baby green beans. So these will be picked in the next week. Maybe closer to 10 days. We'll see how they grow. In this spot here, I've tilled up again. This is going to be my 2 rows of butter beans. I went to the store and got some Thorogreen butter beans. They're a bush variety. And I wanted Henderson, but they didn't have any Hendersons left. So we've got Thorogreen, but that's okay. We'll give them a try. I'm going to put 2 rows in right here. I'm only going to single row these because I think they'll be easier to manage and I can keep the weeds out of them better. The double rows, especially if they come up kind of sparse like butter beans tend to do, the double rows are harder to maintain and keep the weeds out of, and that may be what's going on with them and why I haven't really been getting much of a crop. But I'm going to take the little seeder, you've seen me use that before, and I'm going to hill up these 2 rows here and make them look like actual rows, because like I said, I just took the tiller through this. So make these into rows, take the seeder down the middle of each one, get them seeded with those Thorogreen butter beans, and they'll be good to go. You'll see here, one of these volunteer sunflowers is making seeds. And the little goldfinches have been so excited to have them. And our flowers on this end are still hanging in there, much shorter than on the other end. But on this end, they have a lot of drought because of the trees. So they're competing for water and really sunlight too, because it's kind of shady on this end as well. So they've got a lot against them. So a lot of really short, little cute zinnias and other wildflowers. And then this next row here was another row of flowers that I had planted. And down here, I think we actually ended up with some of the Coreopsis, which are beautiful. Looking absolutely great. There were bees all over them earlier, but I think getting into the later part of the day, the bees are going on about their way back home. If you remember, this was the really, really tall volunteer one, and look at all those seed pods on this thing. 7, 8, 9, 12, 13, at least 14 seed pods on that thing. It's just wild. Crazy to think that that planted itself and did its own thing. But anyways, that's what we've got going on. And I'll head back to the house a little later and give you an update on the things that I've harvested and what I've done with them, and maybe give you some ideas of what to do with what you've harvested. But that's where the garden is right now. Like said, oh, I forgot, this last end over here, on the other side of these flowers, I have at least one more row. It may actually end up being 2 more rows. Yeah, it's probably closer to 2 more rows. I think I'm going to put potatoes in at least one of them. I have a bunch of seed potatoes left over from where we grew potatoes, and I'll show you those here in a second. We'll come over this way and I'll show you. These are my little seed potatoes, and they're just the tiny ones that I pulled out from our harvest back in the spring. That's probably, I don't know, probably about 50 or 60 of them. And I've found that when I planted these tiny ones, I've had just as large of a harvest as if I planted a big one. So they should do really well. You don't always get but so much of a crop in the fall. It's all dependent on the weather and if it turns cool too fast, but it's worth giving a shot, so I'm going to give it a shot. If you'll see here in my pots, excuse the mess in the back of my car, poblanos off of those pepper plants down at the end. They are finally really starting to do well. Then you'll see underneath them here all of the jalapenos. And then there's also, which I can smell how hot they are. And then there also are some, what were supposed to be yellow bell peppers, but they really are lime green. I don't know if they'll ever turn yellow or not, but that's what they're looking like. This was all today's tomato harvest. Not much at all. A little sunflower, you can see the seeds in there. Take those home and dry them and save them. But yeah, everything. Tomatoes are definitely slowing down. Squash is slowing down. Peppers are just really getting going well. And just looking really good. Lots of weeds, of course. But it's what you expect this time of year. Especially when I haven't had the time to be out here really working on it. And it's been raining so much that things are growing faster than you can pick them. But anyways, I will leave you with the sounds of the garden and these beautiful sunflowers, and you can watch the butterflies for a bit if you'd like. Maybe the finches will come out of the trees. I can hear them singing. Maybe they'll come down and grace us with their presence. I haven't seen the hummingbird yet today. She's usually around buzzing and letting you know she's here. But I appreciate y'all coming around and leaving comments and sharing these videos and just being here and making a little community. I hope you get something out of these videos. I'm sorry I'm not being as informational as I'd like to be. Got a lot going on, and it's kind of hard to dedicate the brain power to doing what I should be doing on these videos, but I still hope that you get something out of them and that you appreciate the beauty, if nothing else. So I'll leave you with the garden. Y'all take care. Hope you have a great weekend. Thanks for being here.